Okie dokie. All right. Hi. Where are you? Hold on a second. I forgot to turn the backlights off. When I have the backlights off, you can see the front lights on better. Man, I'm having a day. It's been very warm out today, and I don't like it. I don't like the warmth, you know. So, yeah. Anyhow, I'm getting a lot done. Like what, Chris? Man, am I glad you asked. So, this in the background is a source image that I've been using for a commission that I've been doing, and I'm almost done it. And so I'm just got some business to finish down in the bottom third of it. But I thought I would show you. Yeah, so I'm going to move the camera over and show you the wall. So I hope everybody's having a good day. Now, here we go. Whoa! All right, so here's the painting as it stands now. And so you can see, yeah, it's a good size. It's, yeah, it's coming together pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm trying to get a real sense of depth there. As you move in, you start to see a lot more of the crazy details in it. But, we're just, so I've got this part to do down here. Yeah. And this, so you can see where this has all still got lots more love and attention to give to it. But you can see as we move up, I move all over the surface, but, I tend to start working one way to the other as far as it goes for finishes go. And so I've left all of this foreground to do. Now, with that sort of, this is my bad printout. This source image, which is what I've been going off of. So, again, it's one of those things where I make it extra complicated for no darn reason. But, yeah, so that's coming along. I'm pretty pleased with that. Trying to get the light to come through the trees. So I thought maybe I would show how I'm going about doing this. And just going to get the camera reoriented here because I banged it. I'm done. I knocked it around. Here we go. Excuse me a sec. Be cooperative thing. There we are. All right, we're better. So, yeah. So I thought maybe, hello from this side of the world. Hi, Susanna. How are you? So we've got it set up now so that this piece is going to get finished off today and dropped off to, for the commission. And but what I've got and what I've been doing for things like this, and I talked about this yesterday, is I do all of these studies. And the reason that I'll do a lot of these little scribbly dibbly things is that, so this is the idea. This is the idea generation, which, and then I came across that photo and went, oh, it's just nice. It gives me a lot more complexity than what I was thinking. So this is the initial sketches and ideas that I'd had for this project. And, and I'd done some further sketches than these. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see some of the nonsense. Come on, there you go. So this is, you can see a little more of the skibbly-dibbly details. But one of the things that I thought would be, interesting, and it's a very limited palette here, by the way. You got a yellow, a white, an umber, a sand, a black, and it's probably what I had left over from doing something else, because that's generally how I set up my palettes. And then I tried out some different approaches to it. So, this is some different, I don't know what I've gotten this, to tell you the honest truth. or probably marker, pen, pencil, bam, 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 you know. There's some flower tests. So this is what I've got to do yet in the foreground of the piece that I just showed you, the larger composition, is that I've got to put some of these flowers in the foreground. But we're going to get to that in a minute. And then here's, again, just using what I had available in the moment. I did some quick flower ideas of foliage and things like that. So that's the things I have to hand out. Now, what I mean by hand out is that when I'm done, generally when I'm done a project, I'll take all these sketch images. I don't know what to do with them. They just sit in a pile somewhere. But these are going to get passed around, just sort of given out, which is what I did with the ones for the mountain painting that I showed here earlier. So this bunch of business right here that you see now. So what this is me doing some really quick, fast, and dirty idea spots here in order to try to figure out, you know, what's going on today. Now, yesterday during the stream, I showed this, where I showed how you can make a luminousness come through the trees, come through from the background. How you doing, Salty? Good to see you, man. Oh, Salty, North Park. It's called North Park. So here's the one that I'd started yesterday, right? Let me reach as far away as I possibly can from where I'm sitting. Okay. So, all right. So what I've got here now, is that it? Did I fix it? Of course not. Yeah. I give up on this. I'm turning it off. So what I've got here now in front of me is some of these. This is the easel that I'm using. Now, I've got some of these smaller pieces that I started putting together, and we're just going to do a quick fun thing. I'm just going to tape a few of them to the surface so that I don't have to stand here trying to juggle them in my hands like the silly person that I am. You got 1, 2, and we'll do a third. There we go. Uno, dos, and his friend, Larry. All right, so pull the camera back out. Hey, look at those guys. Hey, Macarena. Okay, good. All right, team. Ho, ho, ho. So this is basically the gist of what I've been doing, okay? In order to get this, and I'll start with this one. So in these existing color channels that you see, and a way to accentuate those is just to take a couple of different mark making tools, a happy pencil, a black, and a chestnut roasting in a fireplace. Some weird kids biting at my nose. All right, so I'm just throwing these lines down in order to imply trees. Whoops. We okay? We all together? Everybody's all right? Nobody's hurt? All right, so I've got these together here now. I banged the whole thing and just threw it off. There. Better? No, worse. Stupid! I'm really mad at my setup. I just completely gonkoed it. And I've made a mess out of everything here. All right. There we go. And there. Happy. Now, I just moved this down. There we are. Now we're cooking with the gasolines. There we are. So, in order to get this kind of a thing, one of the things that I need, zoom, focus. There we are, focused. So one of the things that I need is to be able to first put these marks down for the background for the trees, the tree area or whatnot. So the idea that this is the trunks of the trees as they are in the midst of the forest, but we've got the light coming from behind them. And so I'll put, if you put something like a yellow, okay, we're just going to use yellow. Nice typified childlike assessment of light. It's yellow. It's not, but that's okay. That's what we're using. So, and I'm not being too precious about it. I'm just going for broke here. So, I don't have much yellow of this yellow left on my palette. So there's our little tree backdrop here, okay? And I'll just put one more pile over on that side. Why? Because we can. So the other thing I do is this. Now, maybe I need to let this one dry for a second. So in the interim, we'll do some of our magic on this one. And so again, what we've got here is a bunch of trees coming down into our composition, and we can shake it up, not have them all be uniform. Here's one falling down. Okay, and so the second part of this is twofold, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start picking off some of the trunks. I'm going to start with some branches. All right, and breaking some into some different directions. Why is this so out of focus? Is that better? Did we get it? We got it. Okay. So that's what I'm putting down here first and foremost. And I'm just starting from a point on this, the trunk in the foreground, and I'm starting to find where the branches go off of this. And then we've got our second trunk here in behind, and so we can give it, you know, a branch or two as we go as well. So, you know, and then you've got a bunch of little branches that cross from tree trunk to tree trunk, like so. And it's sort of just like a little meshy sort of spider web type of thing. Now, if I'm going to go in here really fast, I'm going to throw down just this little wash of yellow in here. Okay, we'll let that sit for a minute. Now, I'm going to go back into our first one, which is dry enough. And so if I come through and I accentuate some of the trees, okay, and I start to find, like this one here, let's just fill this in, make this one large tree, and we'll put it in the foreground. Okay, so the reason that I'm putting the black on some but not all is because the black trees should pull towards you right now, and the other values should be pushing back. That's the theory, right? But we've got this chestnut colored pencil as well, and so I'm going to do something this, like I'm going to do the same as what I've done here, and I'm coming through and I'm putting some branches again. I'm not too concerned about, you know, well, does a branch look perfect? Does it, you know? Yeah, we're just making some marks, and, you know, suggesting that these trees have branches that are all interlacing because we're in a forest. So, and then I'll pick some of that and I'll enhance it a little bit with the black as well. So but not an overly abundant amount of it, just because we're coming at this in a slightly different way. So here's these trees here. Now, so, okay, we've got these two setups now. And one of the things that we can do next is, in order to really play with the depth like this, is that where you've got these spaces between your branches, just come in with either a really light lemon yellow, so like a really, really light yellow application, or white. Now, if you put the lemon yellow down first, okay, so what we're suggesting here is that this is the sun peeking through these trees. And so these branches that we put down in the first place, you know, we want to make sure that they pop, so we're not painting over those, we're painting in and around those. Okay? With this lemon yellow that we've made up. And then in a moment, I'm going to come back with that white and really emphasize some parts of this, because it's not just going to be flat out uniform, because light doesn't work that way. It you know, it's basically, imagine it as it's something that's trapped behind, like this curtain of trees. The light is trapped behind them, so it's going to find its easiest path through said trees, which means it's not just this flat uniform value. It's not just how you doing, Liz? Welcome aboard. So it's going to peek through here, it's going to be a little bit brighter in that spot, it's going to be less opaque in the next, and even within the areas that there is light coming through, like here, there's going to be lighter and darker areas within those. You know, dark being relative, because it's still like a lemon yellow. So there we go. We've got, you know, some of those enhancement on the trees coming through now. Now, I haven't done any of the ground, nor have I showed you any of the ground. So if the light is coming through the trees, okay, look for, again, the easiest path. And in this case is, if this tree is in the foreground here, and this tree is in the foreground here, and these guys are all in behind, then the sun is going to push its way through these smaller trees in the background in the distance, but it's still going to have interference from these trees in the foreground. So as we're putting our color down to you know, imply that the light is there, we have to take that into account. So now I'm pinching into that white a little bit more and popping the value through here. You know, and we can add additional little shapes and marks within there, and that just goes farther to help to imply that there's, you know, other things interfering with the direct path of light. So there's our little forest. And it's, you know, I'm also utilizing this background color as well. The darker value in the background helps a lot. It's quite nice. I can walk there and be happy. Oh, nice, Susanna. That's cool to hear. So, yeah, so we're trying to capture what it would be with the sun cutting through these trees. Now, you know, you can do the same thing with, let me see what's nearby. Like if you use, just a second, I got one here. All right, so in this middle one, right, it doesn't, you can also use, like I'm going to use this paint marker here. And so I'm going to put little smacks of light blue in here. And now I'm only going to pick this certain targeted little area across the middle section here. And the reason that I'm doing so is because when we're done, you'll see the light in a different way. So we just have to let that dry for a second. But all three of these things, this is on a white piece of paper that I don't know, it's just got paint all over it basically. And this is on a dark blue piece of cardstock that you know, we've thrown paints on top of, and there we go. This is on a light blue piece of cardstock. So I've got this paint marker now, and so I'm going to do the same thing as I showed you before. I'm just tight a little area in here, so that where the blue is, with the white in behind it, it gives you the sense of a really bright sunny day outside of the woods, and it's trying to come through the trees. Now you can also push the light around with, by putting some value down and then spreading it out with the tip of your finger, like a little bit of a blur. So there we go. So there's the next forest. Now if I was to go over certain spots again, like in the white, and really make sure that the bright value peeks through. But it's the same effect, it's just a completely different type of light and a very different kind of presentation of the forest, much more simplified. But it still works, the idea still works. You can also come in after, right, and then put in some of your shadows. Right, and here's another fun thing, is where those things are overlapping. Like you can put just little emphasis in the trees. You don't have to go over the whole thing. You're picking and choosing. But it just sort of gives a little surreal sense of the woods. And you think about the type of tree you're drawing, they look a bit like popular trees, but I guess it's balsam in BC. Waxy, shiny leaves. No, I don't overly focus on it too much, because it is sort of an abstract language of mark making that I'm building up the forest with. Like in this larger, move the camera, bear with me. In the larger piece, I'm really playing with the colors in the branches, more so than I'm worried about the shape of the leaves. Now other people would be far, so that's this here. There's my hand. Oh, there we are. That one. Those are very different leaves than whatever's going on here. Or maybe they're just more dead. But the leaves are more implied by the color, combinations, than they are about the actual shapes. So I don't get too caught up in what kind of tree is this right now that I'm drawing. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people do that. And that's can be a very powerful thing for you and give you great deals of insight for, what it is that you're working on. But no, I haven't honestly thought too much about that. So if you've got, so I'm going to do something else here. I've got some of this lemon yellow here. So what I'm going to do is just schmutz it on the ground in the front. We'll let it dry. And we'll put it to some use in a minute. And this is, so it's a kind of a fun application when you're doing like painting the forest. There's so many interesting shapes and things. You know, spatter some of the paint in. You know, why not, right? Just adds to all the interesting bits of shapes and things that are going on inside of here. All right, so I've got this random smattering of value down here in the foreground. And then here I'm going to, am I in camera for this one? Yeah. So this is where I'm going to start to establish the sort of shape language that the leaves and the underbrush and whatnot that's on the ground is being illuminated from behind the tree. So, yeah. Woohoo! So this, it's just different ways of making marks. You can play with, you know, how it is you want to go about it. Now that's just paint per se, right? It's the same as, let's see what I got here. Gonna go over here in my little trickle trunk there and get out some, you know, some colors here. So I've got, I'll move this. Stay. Everything's being difficult today. There we go. So now I've got this piece of paper, right? If I'm going to one second. So I picked these up. These are metallic acrylic paint markers that I found at the dollar store for $5, and in Canadian. So, you know, depending on where you are, that can be like a nickel. So I'm going to pull out this brown or copper, whatever it's supposed to be. And so I'm just going to do the same thing, right? I'm going to put in some shapes for trees. So all these different methods, of whatever the different mechanism is that you put into place that feels most accessible to you for how you go about your studies and your mark making for your projects. You know, if you're trying to understand color, the workups can be of good help. If you're trying to understand, if you're trying to understand composition or shape language, then little studies can help. If you're just trying to work up the nerve for something larger, then these things can help. So here's just some shapes on this piece of paper, and so I've got this postgum marker that doesn't want to have the lid come off. Here we are. All right, drone jet, let's go. So, oh yeah, that's my happy pencil. So I'm going through now, and I'm just putting in some little hits of the paint, and then I'm using my fingers to you know, play with these shapes a little bit. But this is another way of quick studying of you know, the trees and the composition and stuff like that. Now notice that I'm not just filling everything in, and that's so that we can come in with another color, you know, with another, whether it's a yellow or an orange or whatever else it is, some light blue, like whatever, wherever we start to take this a little further. But just to start off, we know that you can see through foliage, you can see through trees. to the area that's around. So don't fill it all in opaque. That's the thing we do when we're kids, right? We fill it all in very opaquely, and you know, it only goes so far for us. A little bit down on the bottom here, foreground. There we go. All right, so there's our second go at this. And I'm going to take one of these yellow markers, paint markers, and so now I'm coming in and putting marks through our trees with this. And that's the whole top part of the leaf. It's got sun, bottom part of the leaf does not. This might be dying. It might be dying. This is good though. Tools that are on their last leg are great for sketching with, because you can really abuse them. So we've got more interesting colors, combinations in our trees now. I'm going to come in with a Posca. That was just a, and there's a different, slightly different yellow here. So now you can see we're starting to get more color in our leaves. Especially because as I'm dabbling it around, the yellow starts to mix in spots with the green and give us different colors of green in our leaves. But we're also putting marks on top of. A tree isn't just a bare tree trunk until the wig of leaves drops down over it. They're transparent things. So we're going to play off on that a little bit. I'm just going to put a couple of random marks and down here. Give us some more interesting base down at the bottom of our picture. So, so I do love working mixed media. I really do. And let's see what else I got here. I think where are those pencils I had? I'll throw some of that in here. So I've got this chestnut color. What we're going to do is something similar to like we just did. But as I'm coming through with this chestnut, I'm going to put little spots in just to push back some of the color, some of the shapes that we have, so that the idea is that this is some of the darker leaves, some of the deeper areas. And yeah, rather than using a black and going really hard at it, we're picking some of these things out here with our pencil. So there's some of those marks. So it's not going to turn out too well, I don't think, this color over our markers, but our paint markers, but we'll try it. So now I've got that, my happy pencil. I'm a happy pencil. So, and here's more of the same, but a little more aggressively so. So if this is our, so now I'm going to pick and choose what's in the foreground and what's behind. So if I'm following the form of the tree down, I'll put some quick marks down in the base, trying to plant our tree here. So there we go. We've got a little more dimension to the trees as well. So what I'll do next And this might be crazy. Where is it? I just had it. So I've got this tan color as well. So I'm going to put some lines in the bark here, give some shape, a little more dimension to these trees and texture to them. But I'm also going to come up in the trees in a second and add some more little pinches of color in there with the bark, or I'm sorry, with the tan color. Boy, my looks go. Anyways, so we're starting to get a little something more here. So now I'm coming in and adding one more color to our leaves. And it should give a nice kind of a density to the treetop now. And I got one more thing I'm going to do. Boy, Chris, what about the back? Just hold on already. Yeah, so we've got some more density in our trees here. And then that light blue I showed you earlier. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with this and just sort of do a little quick and dirty outline of things here. So some of these earlier paint markers I bought some time ago, and so they're all kind of wearing out finally. All right, so there's, you dead? Is this dead? It's dead. It's gone. Okay, so I'm just putting little bits of blue in the treetops here as well now. Okay, okay. So now one little bit of funny business we can do is I'm going to use this yeller and start to see if I can get any little marks to peek through here. No, this thing is too, the pencil's too hard. So I've got this orange then, we'll use that instead. So I'm just putting some little fiddly bits and whatnot throughout the treetops. But what I'm also going to do is this, and I'll zoom in maybe. Well, you know what, where we're at was pretty good. Come on, robot. Being fussy. There we go. So, so I'm going to put with this orange some small little hash marks here and there. And the intention of these is to say, you know, branches. There's all kinds of small branches going through these trees. There's all kind of branches in these here trees. Okay, so now, so I've got the little spots where I put the really light blues in the leaves here. So I'm going to peek the light from behind the trees that come through. Now the reason I put the blue down earlier is so I don't necessarily have to go right up to the edge of the tree. But we've added that sort of the sense of light and going through the trees again. There we are. So hopefully this does a better job of, representing a tree more so than just the sort of triangular shapes or circle on a stick shape. All right, so there's our new rendition of the forest. So there we go. So there's another way you can approach it if you have different tools than acrylic paint and a brush. Dad's Day is coming up. Does your family know to get you art stuff as gifts? No, they don't. They don't give me art stuff as gifts. They know I pretty much got whatever I need, or I'll get it. No, my kids understand my love of books. I like me a lot of books. So yeah, they'll probably, in the past I've got books, or I've got like a, gift card or two for chapters. But I'm at the point where they really don't need to get, and I've always been at this point. My favorite thing I get from my kids is always crafts, like, like construction paper ties. And I would actually try, I would wear one. I would wear it out. And, yeah, just so the kids knew I appreciated what they were doing. Oh, this one's great. That's a nice new purple tie. It's half ripped already, So there we go. So there's another way of getting our trees done. So that's better. All right. So there we go. So there's another approach to it. But try different things. So we've got the paint markers, and then in addition to that, we've got these. Now, these are dried for a second. So let's come through here and with this white and pick out some marks. Like we'll put these in here so that implies the light moving through the trees. So I couldn't sleep last night. Laurie's in Halifax at a conference, and the cats were going crazy last night. They were just carrying on. So, my kids, they're 20s and 30s now, so they tend not to do, hey, Dad, here's an ashtray I made you. Although I do have an ashtray in the closet, as well as a crazy cup that my son made. Then I've got a welded turtle, and some cool different. My one son did made a drawing. I'll show you. Let's see if I can get it in the. It's on the other side of the room. It's a drawing board, and it has a T-square built right into it. So, I love that stuff. So anyway, so here's some. This is some different ways to interpret outdoors and to try to paint woodland areas. Like even if you're just going to do, let me see, let's do one more. Okay, so even if you're just going to draw a trunk, okay, and there's my trunk, yahoo, and I'm going to put some leaves in. Don't just color in the whole thing as, solid and opaque. Throw down some color and let it do its work. Like, let it spread it around, dapple it. You know what I mean? So here's our trees coming through. So even if you feel compelled to draw up, the trunk, squiggle some color down and tamp it around so that when you do come in with that, the other color like I showed you earlier, and you do this sort of a thing where you're working the second value through the trees. It's just more interesting, right? My kids would get annoyed when I go by and shove the cats and say, hey, now I'm sleeping, now you need to sleep at night. I figured since they don't mind jumping on my face, I could wake them up too. That's awesome. Lucy's just spun, our little kitten. She's just completely off her rocker. So they can't help herself. She just run around, and then she calls out, hello, I'm bored, like it's the funniest thing. So she stood outside the door because I had, I finally had the wherewithal to close the bedroom door. So she stood outside of it, and just kept going, it was like, it's cute, it's sweet, but it's like, Lucy, shut up. So there's our, whoops, there we are. So I'm just throwing some of this blue in here and cutting some shapes between these little trees, and it isn't very much different from the other one that we did. It's a little more haphazard, because it's a different style of forest. So like we haven't even touched the tree trunks at the bottom half of the image. It's really just trying to figure out those branches, where the trees are hanging down. Let's see what we can do with this base. Oh, I'm just seeing whatever I can find. So we can put in trees or leaves and brushes and things like that in the foreground, and keep it interesting. Switch your shapes up a little bit. Just play and explore and discover and see what kind of things that you can figure out with your mark making. And you don't need a lot. You can just use a few simple tools and see what you can put together compositionally with those. There we go. Another silly little woodland area. So I don't know. I hope this sort of stuff is interesting and helps folks out. I like sharing some of this stuff on. So this is just an orange pencil. So I won't be here tomorrow or Friday. I will be back on Monday. Tomorrow and Friday I'll be drawing in chalk at an event here in town. So if you're in the London, Ontario region, come on down, North Park. So there we go. So there's our little scene once again, and for our last little key bits of interesting, we'll put some white up here towards the top of the trees. There. All right, another version. Okay, so there we are. Yada yada do. Just try, just play, have fun, try different things, see what it tells you, see what you get out of it, and you know, who knows? Who knows? But you might find a new way in which to try to paint forests, to try to paint, you know, outdoor areas. This is, you make it look easy. Well, I mean, no, but there's, you guys are gonna find your method. There's no real easy method. I think it's all of it is tried in practice and things like that. So allow yourself that. I like it a lot, Suzanne says. Well, there we go. Okay, so there you are, gang. There's those, and yeah, I gotta get back to finishing this now, which utilizes these different approaches and implementations that I was just showcasing. So I've got to finish this thingamajigger and get this submitted in. So yeah, I hope that was interesting, folks. All right, well, listen, have a good weekend. And I know it's a weird thing to hear on a Wednesday, but I hope that everybody has a good weekend and goes out and does. What size is the huge one? 2 foot by 3 foot, I think, or maybe 2.5 by 3. I think it might be 2.5 by 3.5. Yeah, it's 2.5 by 3.5. It's a fair size. So yeah, these are a little bit smaller. All right. Yeah, have a good weekend, everybody. I'll be back on Monday, and I look forward to seeing you then. But in the meantime, yeah, play with some of these ideas and go out and I'll take pictures of the chalk event and I'll show you all those on Monday, as well as how this commission ended. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you then. 2 p.m. EST on Monday. All right, gang. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for everybody that's part in the chat and hanging out. And Linda, our moderator at the mostest. And everybody else. And I'll see you then. Bye for now. Go make something.